challenges of the business and marketing during and after COVID pandemic, organized by the Postgraduate Department of Commerce and Business Administration, Kanya Mahavidyalaya, under the Commerce Chapter of International Series. A very warm welcome to our worthy Principal Madam, Professor Dr. Atima Sharma Dwivedi, our eminent resource person, Dr. Laszlo Joza, my worthy colleagues and dear participants. Dr. Laszlo visited our college in the year 2016 for an international conference on globalization of markets. We were also impressed with his deliberations, and now again, we requested him to be a part of this international series. We really feel very humbled and obliged for his kind consent for joining us today. Thank you very much, sir. Kanya Mahavidyalaya, the autonomous and heritage institution, a name to reckon with in the field of education, has various credentials like Star College, College with Potential for Excellence, Best College as per India Today and Outlook Magazine survey, and our college has many MOUs with various national and international bodies. When it comes to women empowerment, KMV ranks at the top due to its incredible contribution in commencing the drive of educating women since its very inception in the year 1886. With a priceless inheritance of 136 years, Kanya Mahavidyalaya has the proud distinction of being the first educational institution for women in North India. The college strives ceaselessly to empower women and provide an ambience conducive to their holistic development. In the present scenario, where education is transcending all barriers, we also believe that students should be given not only national but international exposure as well. So these international series have been organized to enable the students to have an international perspective of various contemporary issues in commerce and management. Now, I would like to invite our venerable head of the department, Dr. Neeraj Mani, for her welcome address. She has been working round the clock for organizing such events to supplement classroom learning with practical exposure to keep our students abreast of the latest developments in the field of commerce and industry. With her constant and consistent efforts and support, our department has been scaling new heights of success with every coming dawn. Over to you, Neeraj, madam.
Thank you, Sabina. Esteemed Principal Ma'am, Professor Atima Sharma Dwivedi, Distinguished Resource Person of the Day, Dr. Laszlo, worthy colleagues, and my dear students, a very good afternoon to everyone. I, on behalf of PG Department of Commerce and Administration, extend a very warm welcome to you all to the Commerce Chapter of International Series 2021 of Kanya Mahavidyalaya Jalandhar. It's a matter of immense pleasure for me to welcome the personality of the stature of Dr. Laszlo Joza, Professor, Faculty of Economic Sciences, Department of Marketing Management, Shesne Istvan University, Győr, Hungary, to the Commerce Chapter of International Series 2021, Kanya Mahavidyalaya Jalandhar. I heartily welcome you, sir, to the virtual platform of KMD. Sir, we are beholden to you for accepting our invitation to be a resource person for today's event. I would like to add here that Dr. Laszlo has already visited KMB as a resource person of the International Conference on Globalization of Marketing, organized by PG Department of Commerce and Business Administration in the year 2016. And that conference gave us an opportunity to listen to him and to learn a lot from his expertise. This time also, I'm sure we would learn some new concepts of marketing from him. Thank you, sir. Now, I feel honored to welcome our very own Ma'am Principal, Professor Atima Sharma Dwivedi, to the Commerce Chapter of International Series 2021. She is a visionary, charismatic,
Thank you. And now I can share the screen.
Sir, just a minute.
Let him.
Okay.
I think, Dr. Laszlo, it's wonderful that you are just on top of your whole presentation. I should not delay you any further. Once again, I would like to welcome you and also tell you that we have very pleasant memories of your visit to this institution. And while I welcome you once again, I hope that in good times to follow, you will visit us again and you will continue to give a good exposure to our students. And especially lately, due to the COVID situation, we have been on top of this program to give the best possible outcomes of these very limited, or one can say the stresses of the COVID times, have not stopped us to give the best possible education to our students. So one major part of that was to give them the international exposure and bring in the best scholars from all over the globe to interact with our students and of course the faculty. So you are one very strong chain in that commerce chapter of this international series. And once again, on behalf of everyone, I welcome you and I express our gratitude to you for your consistent contribution. Before I invite you, I would just once again tell you that we have developed a collaboration with Eötvös Loránd University of late. About 3 years ago, we signed an MOU with another Hungarian university, under which the scholars have visited us, and recently our students have also won Hungarian state internship scholarships. So our collaboration with Hungary is constantly becoming enriched and more fruitful for our students. And as I said, that you are one such strong link that continues to thrive this association with your wonderful country.
Thank you.
So I hope that in days to come, in years to come, we will continue this partnership and this collaboration. So welcome to you once again, and now over to you to begin your talk.
Respected sir, ma'am, can I say something about our mentor, that is our worthy principal madam? Can I speak something about you and about the college?
Thank you so much for your generosity, Sabina.
Just 2-3 lines, just something about the college.
Okay.
Empowered people, empower all. Very aptly said and very appropriate for a very dynamic, charismatic and erudite principal madam, Professor Dr. Atima Sharma Dwivedi, an alumna of Harvard Graduate School of Education, USA. We are what we are and where we are today due to her exemplary vision and her able and meticulous guidance. What makes KMB the best, the first and the most preferred choice among students is the quality education being imparted here. Here at KMB, we don't wait for the things to happen, but we really make the things happen. And this all is possible due to the passion, vision, and untiring efforts of our worthy principal madam. She has been constantly inspiring us to organize various webinars, seminars, workshops, and extension lectures for ensuring the overall development of our students. So now I wanted to invite you, ma'am, but thank you very much for your inspiration, blessings, and for your support and motivation. Thank you very much,
for very, very liberal, words from your side. And now over to.
Before we start with the proceedings,
I think we should start his lecture.
Should I introduce a resource person to the audience?
Yeah.
Now I have the honor and privilege to introduce a resource person to the audience. Dr. Laszlo Józa, a chemical engineer by profession, an economist, and habilitated doctor, started his professional career in 1984 as a scientific assistant at Veszprém University of Chemical Sciences. He then worked with PET nitrogen works and renal fine chemical production works as an engineer from 1986 to 89. The period of 89 to 2000 witnessed the journey of Dr. Laszlo from university assistant to an associate professor at Veszprém University. He worked as the head of the Department of Applied Economics, head of the Department of West Hungary, and in the year 2001-2, he was appointed as a Deputy Dean of Scientific Issues. From September 2003, he joined Chennai Istavan University, and from January 2004 to 2013, he held the prestigious post of the head of the Marketing and Management Department. He was an elected member of the Committee of Business Sciences of Hungarian Academy of Sciences since 2011. He is a visiting professor of Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand, adjunct professor J.K. Lakshmipat University, Jaipur, India, and Erasmus Professor, University of Leon, Spain. He is also the guest professor at Hughes Hong University of Science and Technology. He has been honored with several professional awards like 2001 Researcher of the Year Award from Hungarian Academy of Sciences and 2004 Pro Natura Recreanda Honorary Award. He has specialization in the fields of marketing, marketing strategy, and marketing communication. Dr. Laszlo has authored 8 books, out of which 3 are published in English and 1 in Russian language. He has almost 230 other professional publications and over 300 references and publications in the field of his specialization. He was a consultant to 19 PhD candidates, and presently he is consultant to 3 doctoral candidates at Chennai Istuan University. Now, regarding COVID-19, is it a blessing in disguise or a curse? The impact of coronavirus pandemic has been largely disruptive in terms of economic activity as well as the loss of human lives. So now I hand over the proceedings to Dr. Laszlo for his inputs on this very contemporary issue, that is the challenges of marketing and business during and after COVID pandemic. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the introduction. And I would like to mention that I visited India several times in my life. Altogether, maybe 5 times I visited since 2010, and I visited different parts. So I was in Rajasthan, in Punjab, in Delhi, in Gujarat, so in different states, and I enjoyed very much the hospitality of Indian people, and also this type of fantastic tours which I made in India. Now, at first, I would like to share my screen and my presentation, because I would like to show a presentation to you. Yes, this one, and I hope it is possible to do that for a moment, please, because something is something happened for a moment. That's right, share. So my question is that, do you see my slides? Do you see my slides?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, now we see.
It's clear now. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes. It's fine.
Yes.
Now we can see it. Yes.
Okay, that's right. That's right. This is important. So, as I mentioned before, I visited India several times, and I enjoyed India, and I enjoyed Jalandhar, because when I was in Punjab, I visited not only Amritsar, but your institution too. And today, from far, I would like to speak about the management challenges in and after COVID. But because I think several students don't know exactly Hungary and many things about Hungary, I would like to show some pictures about the country at first, and showing something from the life, and also I would like to mention that there are many potential scholarships for the Indian students too, and I have several Indian students too. Here on this slide you can see Budapest. This is the capital of Hungary. And if you see, this is the Danube, the longest river of Europe, passing minimum 7-8 different countries, from Germany to the Black Sea, from the Black Forest to the Black Sea. And in Budapest, you can see the famous bridges. This is the most famous, the oldest one, Chain Bridge. And also you can see the Royal Palace. Hungary is a republic, but originally it was a kingdom. And on the other side, you can see the cupola of the Hungarian parliament. Here, everything can be seen in with the night lights, and you can see that very beautiful. Now, unfortunately, because of COVID, the Budapest is very empty. You know, Budapest is the heart of the Hungarian tourism. So 70% of the tourists originally visited to Budapest during a year. So from 1st of January to the end of December. But now you can find only a few tourists, unfortunately. Now a little bit more because of the European Championship, and several matches were organized in Budapest, and because of that there were some foreign visitors, but not so strong than before. Also, you can find here the map of the country, and you can see that Hungary is in the heart of Europe. at the end of the European Union, because European Union starting from Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece. So this is the east end of the European Union. But from the other side, you can see that there are many other countries on the eastern side, like the largest one, Russia, but also Belarus and Ukraine and Moldova and Turkey. So altogether, if you see the total Europe, Hungary is in the heart of the continent. And maybe you don't know exactly, but altogether there are 27 members of the European Union. And because of the Brexit, because the United Kingdom left the European Union. Because of that, it's very strange, because the discussion several times between the different people, different nations is happening in English, but from the other side, no English-speaking countries except of Ireland, but Ireland is very small, where the English is official language. The other parts you can find that many languages can be found inside of the European Union. Something about the forecast of Hungary. So this is the typical forecast. You see that very colorful, and the national colors are dominating. These national colors are red, white, and green. So these are the colors, the national colors of Hungary, and well decorated, and many decorations can be seen. But of course, this is the traditional clothes, and in generally on the different ceremonies you can find them, and not in the everyday life. Some Hungarian products which are very famous. This is the handmade porcelain from Herend. And this is the hand-painted, handmade porcelain, which is very expensive. So one plate more or less cost 150 euros. So this is very expensive item. Something from Hungary, Hungarian special things. This is the Hungarian dog. Do you see? Niraj, it's okay. So you can find here the Hungarian dog, and this dog is very interesting, because it's not possible to see the eyes of the dog. This is the shepherd dog, so for sheep, and also sometimes at home it's possible to find them very traditional Hungarian. And this is the Hungarian very traditional cow. Very traditional cow, because more than 1,000 years ago, when the Hungarian tribes moved from east to west, from the eastern part of Europe to the present place, to the Carpathian Basin, they use this type of cows. These cows are unfortunately not so good in milk production, but from the other side, they were working cows in Hungary. And some interesting moments from the Hungarian life, like a show with a horseman, and this type of programs are very popular for the different tourists. And which is also very important, and with this type of pictures, I can show you a little bit the effect of COVID in advance, because this is the most famous Hungarian spa. This spa called Hévíz. Hévíz is a warm water lake, the second largest warm water lake of the world, and it can show the geothermic activity of the past, and the temperature of the water is around 35, 36 centigrade in summer, and around 24, 25 in winter, which could be very cold in Hungary normally, because the winter could be -10, -15, and at the time the water is 24, 25 centigrade. And this is one of the heart of the Hungarian health tourism, because this water is very good against rheumatic complaints, and because of that, many foreigners from Russia, from Germany, from Austria, from other parts of the world would like to visit this place, which is so-called a special very important place for this type of ill people. Now exactly this place is empty. Only the Hungarian visitors can be seen because of the different limitations. And some very modern products, Audi, which is existing in Hungary. They have a big factory in Hungary. Also, Mercedes has a factory also in Hungary, and for example, some models are produced in Hungary. And also the other one, which is also I think in India very popular. This is Suzuki. Maybe the brand name is Maruti in India. So these are the important products. The mechanical engineering and the car industry are very important in Hungary. You can find here that Hungary is more or less the middle-sized European country, because the largest one is France, and after that Spain, Sweden, and Germany can be seen like the area. And the smallest one, for example, Malta. So Hungary, very small country from the Indian view, but from the other side, inside of the European Union, Hungary is relatively big respect to the other members of the European Union if we see the surface. And also the situation more or less similar in the case of the population. In the case of Hungary now, the population is more or less than 10 million because of the typical European problems that the population is decreasing. But the largest one, you can see Germany, and after that France. United Kingdom just left the European Union, in Italy and Spain, and Poland, for example. These are the largest countries, and at the end you can see Luxembourg or Malta, which are the small countries too. And if we see the GDP of the EU respect to the other parts of the world, you can see that United States and Japan are stronger in the sense than the European Union, but the other parts of the world are relatively small respect to the European Union. You can find here the GDP per person. Hungary is not at the beginning of this list, so Hungary is not so strong in economy, and we are improving, but it's very difficult thing because of the different problems. And if we are speaking about these regions, the eastern part of the Europe, you can see that the Central European countries are very interesting in one sense that similar history can be found in Central and Eastern Europe. This area where Hungary, Slovakia, the Balkan states, and then Poland and Czech Republic can be found. These were the area of the continuous wars and revolutions against the German Roman Empire, the Habsburgian Empire, Russia, and Turkish Empire. And the last one for which against which it was necessary to fight, this was the Soviet Union, because in this eastern part countries, the Soviet Union dominated the political situation. It's very interesting that no colonies, no originally no industries existed, and relatively strong agriculture were in this type of country. So several times we didn't understand the Western European countries because they think differently about the multiculturalism than the Eastern European countries, which didn't live together with different cultures. They hadn't got colonies, and of course, our areas are haven't got any feeling, any negative feelings, which now can be seen in Western Europe many times. And the modernization of this region started only from the middle of the 19th century. So some social factors of Eastern Europe can be seen here. At first, you can see the aging population, and which is a very big problem. We are not so young than in the case of India, where the population is very young and increasing. In Hungary and in eastern part of Europe, mostly the population is decreasing, so the population is lower and lower. No dominant language, and because of that, mostly the Hungarian higher education in Hungarian. Now, because of the internationalization, we introduced some programs in English, and because of that, it was mentioned the cooperation between Hungary and India. Now you can find the Stipendium Hungaricum, which is a special type of scholarship with which we would like to invite many students from India, from the other parts of the world, and they can study in English in Hungary too. But most of the students are studying in Hungarian, and in this part, in Czech Republic, in Czech, in Slovakia, in Slovak, etc., etc. No multiculturalism, so this means that the society is composed from maximum 2-3 main ethnic groups, but the largest is minimum 80%. And the cultural diversity can be seen between the countries. Christianity is the dominant, but not exactly Roman Catholicism, but Protestantism or Orthodox, the so-called Eastern Christianity, are very popular in different parts, in different countries. And in generally, we have small families. The average number of children is around 2 or less in this type of countries. So altogether, inside of the European Union, you can find 24 official languages, and you can find here these different languages inside of the European Union. Not 27, because, for example, in the case of Austria and Germany, they are speaking German. In the case of Belgium, they are speaking Dutch or French. And so this is what happened.
Girls, please mute yourself. Everybody should mute yourself.
Oh, yeah?
Barbara, पीछे से mute कर दो सबको. Everybody should mute yourself.
Is it okay?
Yeah, everything is okay. I think somebody was unmuted.
Okay, that's right. Now I would like to so after this introduction about the region, and because many times, of course, it's possible to see that the eastern part of Europe is not so well known among the students. I would like to turn into the COVID situation. And you can find here some moments. For example, the start. We suppose that the COVID situation, the first cases were in Wuhan in China in 2009, and 2020 the new coronavirus is discovered and causing pandemic in China. And from February, many cases are discovered in Italy, Austria, Spain, and France. And by March 2020, pandemic and lockdown happened in total Europe and very quickly everywhere over the world. And it was a very strange 1 year during the from March 22 to July 21st. because it was many lockdowns. Sometimes the different economies would have liked to open a little bit, and later, because of the number, the situation changed. And you know well that by the end of the last year, it was developed the vaccination. And now I think the most important problem is the lack of vaccines in the sense. You know well that the richest countries would like and would have liked to buy many vaccines. And because they had a possibility to pay much, they bought many. And because of that, the pandemic situation is milder in Europe than before. But sometimes it's possible to see some negative developments. For example, the so-called Delta variant can cause very big problems in many parts of the world. You can see now the pandemic is continuing milder in Europe, stronger in South America, sometimes in India, Southeast Asia, and Africa. So this is a very interesting situation. And which are the first negative results? At first, of course, which is the largest problem, many people died, especially at first in Italy, France, Sweden, and Spain, later in UK, US, Brazil, India. By now, in many places, so in Hungary also, the number of died people is very big and causing several political and social problems. And the countries became very closed. I mentioned that I traveled a lot in India, and not only India, because altogether I visited more than 100 countries. The last of my visit was in 2019 in Russia, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. And from that point, it was not possible to organize anything because the countries exactly became closed. Tourism disappeared. And in some countries, tourism is very important. And you know that in Europe, for example, there are some countries where 15–20% of the GDP comes from tourism. For example, in the case of Spain, Italy, Greece, Croatia. And these countries became poor and in a big trouble. And you can find that the hotels and catering industry were closed, and airlines lost more than 90% of the passengers. So I can mention that before the pandemic in Hungary, for example, the Budapest International Airport received 160 minimum 160 flights a day. Now, because of the end of restrictions, you can find 50, but the deepest point was when it was 6 flights a day, and not for a shorter period, but for months. Yeah. So altogether, the decline was 95% in the case of the number of passengers in the case of the Budapest airport. And after the services, the industry was in trouble too, because the demand, for example, in the case of the luxury goods, dropped down much because it was not possible to find events, for example, where it would have been possible to participate and to do many things. So altogether, what was the effect on world economy? The GDP of 2020 minus 10–15% depending on the countries. The tourism is in the bottom. So I mentioned Budapest, and Budapest was very flourishing because of the tourism, but now only 50% of the hotels are open because the other hotels are empty, and it's not worth to open them. the endangered middle and upper class are afraid of travel. And you know that several times, for example, the tourism is identified with young people, but it's necessary to emphasize that the middle and upper class can move and can mobilize themselves, and they can direct the tourism. And vaccination started and very effective, especially the biotech Pfizer vaccine and Moderna vaccine, but the developing countries are late in the sense. So 2001 will be a disaster in the sense for international services. And which are the managerial elements with which we have to think in management. Is it possible to find solutions during the pandemic for the different economic problems? This is the first question, and this is very difficult question, because sometimes it's not possible to do anything. If no tourism, the hotels should be stopped and should be closed. And what to do if the pandemic will be here for a longer time? And slowly it turned out all over the world that the pandemic is not finishing very, very quickly. So the coronavirus will be with us for a longer time. And because of that, this will be a big problem, and we have to adapt our situation to the, and we have to live together with coronavirus. We can say that, like in the case of the flu, we are living together for a longer time. How to get the lost trust back? Because in tourism, for example, in catering industry, the trust is very important in the economy. And what to do with the workers, suppliers who are in trouble? This was a very important question in many, many countries, because the unemployment rate went up, and many people worked not in 8 hours, but in 2 hours a day, and because of that, the salaries went down. And because of that, for example, for the states, for the national budgets, it was important to spend from this budget for the workers, for the entrepreneurship, saving them in many parts of the world, especially inside of the European Union. Maybe you have heard about that inside of the European Union, from this year, they introduced a special type of recovery fund. And some countries like Italy, like Spain, and Greece will receive much from this fund to recover the economy, because of the problems. But of course, the largest problem that the coronavirus is here yet, and we don't know how to spend this money well. So the most important question will be the same as before, and if the answer is yes, when? So this is an important question, that we can return to the original behaviors, original situations. Well, this is an important question. So my vision about that, the situation will not be the same as before, because of different reasons. We studied the different techniques. We used the virtual reality well in education, but not only in education, but in the business discussions too. And because of that, it's not possible to return to the original things. There will be many people among the older, about 40 generations, who lose the trust forever. So they are afraid of of the intercontinental flights and the so-called exotic travels, and this can cause several difficulties for the developing countries who exactly specialized in tourism. You know that India has a very strong contact with Seychelles, and Seychelles is depending on tourism, and they have many troubles now because of the lack of tourists. And Mauritius, but not only, Indonesia, for example, Bali and Singapore. So many countries are in trouble. The home office became successful, so many companies will use it in the future too. And this can cause several difficulties. For example, the office houses. In several countries, for example, many offices were built up during the last decades. And now it turned out that it's possible to operate without these office houses too. And because of that, the companies would like to concentrate for the home office in many parts. Also, in the case of the higher education, we found that the online education is very so it can be used well. Of course, like me, I hate the virtual education, but from the other side, of course, it was possible to see that we operated 1 year without any personnel presence, and the system operated. Maybe not so good than before, but in some areas, I think the virtual and online education will be in the future. Instead of the business trips, the virtual contacts will determine the business meetings, causing several difficulties in tourism, especially in business tourism. So in many companies, international companies, they like now this type of cooperation. The globalization will not be so strong as before, and this can be seen that because of the different lacks of products, the people, the companies, the countries would like to produce this type of critical products in many parts of the world. And for example, you know that now in the car industry, the chip production is one of the most important problem, and now they would like to do many interesting things there. The virtual communication will destroy the traditional tools, and the largest losers will be in catering, tourism, airlines, luxury good producers, I think. But altogether, it's possible to see that this crisis showed that the richer will be richer in many parts of the world, and also in Hungary, also in the European Union, in the United States, and I'm sure that in the case of India, the situation is this is the situation, and the creative people will be more successful because the innovation, the innovative solutions became more and more important in the businesses, and offering many possibilities for the creative people developing own ideas well. And some final remarks altogether. I can say that we have to be optimistic. Optimistic because, of course, this crisis, this pandemic, opened many new doors. And of course, it's very sad that how many people died. But from the other side, it's possible to survive. Fortunately, several times it's necessary to change your mind or behavior. So be optimistic, creative, hardworking, talented, and fearless. This is very important in different societies. And see the possibilities and concentrate on solutions. So I think for the students, the best advice is to find possibilities and to see and concentrate on solutions. And until the end, or more or less until the end of the pandemic, we have to be more empathic than before. So if it is necessary, we have to wear a mask and take care of the older generations, which are very, very endangered by coronavirus. But altogether, I think the surviving population in generally are very, very optimistic, and if the world will not be the same than before. There will be several similarities to the past, but from the other side, it's possible to build up new directions, like green economy, like dealing with the problem of developing societies and countries, to try to decrease the inequity of the people in different parts of the world. So altogether, I would have liked to share these type of thoughts with you, and thank you for your attention, and thank you for your invitation. Okay, and if you have any question, of course, we can discuss the question. And now I stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very valuable inputs on this very contemporary issue, which has been disturbing one and all. Yes, very rightly said, that this threat of pandemic is really a disruption, and it is the downturn which it has caused is quite different. In fact, it is very fundamentally different from other recessions. With the threat of pandemic and the short-term and long-term impact it could have on our economies, we all, in fact, marketing will need to seek ways to achieve more with less, even as our target audiences are tightening their spending. But thank you very much, sir, for ending with a very positive note that we should be more optimistic, we should be creative, we should try to develop more talents, we should become more hardworking and fearless. And we should try to explore the opportunities and try to, in fact, find out the solutions for all these problems. Thank you very much, sir, for ending with a very positive note. Now, I request Neeraj ma'am, would you like to go ahead with the presentation, or should I start with the question answer session?
And I think we should go with the question answer session. Yeah.
Okay. So now is the time
keep
to
the time consideration.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. So now is the time to address the queries of our inquisitive participants. Now I hand over the session of question answers to Mrs. Rashmi Bindra and Mrs. Namita. So kindly over to you, Madam Rashmi and Namita. Kindly take up the session.
A very good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
We are really privileged to have you amongst us, and thanks a lot for this wonderful presentation. Sir, like students, they have asked certain questions, and I'll just start up with the first one. In your opinion, has COVID-19 pandemic brought some opportunities for the business world?
So you know well that every crisis can cause limits and barriers before many companies, but from the other side, it's a good opportunity for the others. So in the healthcare industry, for example, or in the software industry, I think the pandemic caused a very big development. Yeah, very big development, and this means that there were some companies who were able to live with the opportunities, and they developed very, very quickly. From the other side, of course, there were some losers. We know that, as I mentioned before, so mostly which concentrated for the mobile people, for tourism, catering, airlines. These were the losers of this process. But from the other side, of course, some companies became. Also, I would like to mention something. Some days ago, I met one of my former colleagues, and now he is interested in retailing. And for example, he mentioned that because of the lockdown, his shops were visited. These shops are smaller than the big hypermarkets, very small shops, but these shops were visited better than before. And exactly, it happened that the people preferred the closed shops. They discovered the small shops against the hypermarket. So many opportunities are, and of course, it's possible to live with this type of opportunities.
So there's one more question. What type of strategies the business organizations are adopting to market their product or services during this pandemic period?
Mm-hmm. Now, if we think about a little bit, Porter suggested 3 different big strategies, if you remember well. So he suggested the cost leadership, the differentiation, and concentration. And from this view, I think now the one of the first, which is very important for the companies, to find the possibilities to reduce the cost, because the pandemic can cause several problems on the market. So it's necessary to reduce the cost. But from the other side, the most important thing, and this is the marketing thing, to find the new possibilities, new developments, and to be successful with the product differentiation. Okay, product differentiation. Also, you know, now it will be a big possibility before the companies. Many people, because of the lockdowns, because of the crisis, they canceled or delayed their consumption. And now, for example, these people, because the pandemic is milder, would like to return and would like to buy. And this means that you can find the demand pressure on the markets, and because of that, it's relatively easy to increase the prices. So this is the right moment to increase the prices and to win a little bit more because of the increasing demand. Now the people, if they visit a restaurant, they are happy to visit, and they don't want to deal with the bill at the dinner. Yeah, so this is. And in the distribution, you can find a big change that so many people in Europe, especially, I don't know the exact situation in India, but the home delivery became very, very important. And the people used to order the products via internet and not to go to the shops. This is the situation in the case of the electric tools like washing machine, television sets. Also now, surprisingly, in the case of clothes and shoes, you can find this type of development, toys, for example. So this means that, for example, home delivery will be a long-term effect of the crisis, because we found that these were comfortable respect to the past. And because of that, in the classical shops, it's necessary to introduce several new solutions to entertain the potential customers, because otherwise nobody wants to move to this type of shops. Is it clear? So this is. And of course, in marketing communication, yeah, so the internet communication, the guerrilla marketing, so these are more important, I think, than before. So several interesting movements can be seen in this sense.
So there's one more question. Whether it is right to carry out new startups during this time, or should one wait for getting the things become normal?
Could you repeat, because now I haven't heard well.
Okay, I'll repeat it again. Whether it is right to carry out new startups during this time, or should one wait for getting the situation to be normal?
You know, of course, the right timing is very important for startups. But if you have an idea And in generally, the first idea is rarely the best idea in one sense in the success. Okay, so I think if you have a certain type of idea, you should try it. You should try it. Maybe the process to be successful will be slower than before, but who knows? Who knows? There are several things which can become very successful. So if you think about Zoom, if you think about Microsoft Teams, so there were many solutions which became known exactly because of the crisis. Before the crisis, sometimes maybe we used and we were speaking about that, but how many similar possibilities are, and how many things can be successful. So if you have an idea, do that, and not to wait, and do because it's necessary to try, and of course it's necessary to be lucky a little bit.
Thank you so much. Last question from my side. In your opinion, which type of industries have been adversely hit during pandemic? Large-scale industries or small-scale industries?
You know, this is very difficult to say. I think it's not so everything can be good. Yeah, everything. So in the sense, according to me, yeah. Okay.
Now I hand over the proceedings to Namita for further question-answer session. Over to you, Namita.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you so much.
Namita, unmute yourself.
Hi.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, Namita, yeah.
Everybody seems to be so engrossed. I could see a lot of questions in the chat box. So few questions from my side, if you permit.
Yeah, of course.
So one of the student is very curious to ask that in the present situation where most of the companies are facing a lot of liquidity crunch, and in fact, the companies have been declared zombie companies. In fact, not in India, not in only developed countries, but the scenario is same in all over the world, like it's globally. So in your opinion, how the companies can deal with such situations?
Oh, it's very difficult in one sense that you know that to recovery of the economy is not a simple thing. Inside of the European Union, for example, you can see that they made a special type of fund of recovery. And there were several discussions about this fund because, you know, when you see an artificial demand in the economy, this is several times it's good, but many times it's absolutely wrong. Why wrong? Because, you know, when you for example, make a special type of liquidity. You put money into the economy. It's very difficult to determine which areas will be very successful. Will be very successful, and because of that, it's very easy to make a mistake. And this is the question in Europe too, yeah. So, for example, according to this recovery fund in Europe, Italy and Greece can receive much money to develop the economy, but in general, they have a problem for which direction could be a good direction in the sense. So I think in the future the credits can cause several problems, not only in Europe but all over the world. And according to me, of course, the political side is different because the politicians are interested in the fast development, but they don't think about the future in 10 years or 15 years in generally. Of course, in some cases, yes. So this will be a very interesting problem for many countries, and will be a financial problem in many parts of the world, I think. Okay.
So one more last question. We say that consumer is the center for any business, is the main pivot for any business or management, but nowadays it is very difficult to predict a consumer, in fact consumer behavior, and mostly companies are dealing on the virtual platforms. So according to your opinion, how a market a consumer can be dealt with in such a situation, especially in virtual platforms?
I think the different virtual platforms will remain the part of our life. Yeah. So according to me, the consumer behavior changed much during the last several months, and these changes will be long-term changes. I'm sure long-term changes in consumer behavior. And they accelerated. So altogether, the situation accelerated the changes in the relation to the electric solutions, online commerce, etc. And this will be very popular in the future too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering the query so aptly and appropriately, dealing with the apprehensions of the participants. So now I invite Madam Rashmi Sharma for a formal vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Namita. A warm and cherished afternoon to our most valued Professor Dr. Laszlo, respected Principal Ma'am, worthy colleagues, and dear students. On behalf of Postgraduate Department of Commerce and Business Administration, it is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked hard to make this webinar happen. First of all, my sincere thanks to Almighty God for making today's event a grand success. By His blessings and grace, we are able to make the event what it was. I extend hearty vote of thanks to Professor Dr. Laszlo, who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace the occasion. Sir, today we had the opportunity to hear your insightful thoughts. Your thoughts have enlightened our minds. Thanks to you for adorning the occasion and sharing your valuable opinions with us. I take this opportunity to extend our deep gratitude to our venerable Principal Ma'am, Professor Dr. Atima Sharma Dwivedi, being the catalyst that always inspires us to do our best, and she always stands as a pillar of power. My deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Neeraj Mani, Head, PG Department of Commerce and Business Administration, for organizing such an informative session. Her vision, commitment, and hard work have helped the department reach new heights. Special thanks to the dedicated faculty of Department of Commerce for their untiring efforts. We are grateful to our technical support, Engineer Parbrahm, who worked behind the scenes to execute the event. I would be failing in my duty if I do not convey my thanks to our wonderful students who are the backbone of every event organized by the department. In the end, I would again like to thank each and everyone for being with us this afternoon. Thank you again for making this event successful. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your invitation, and I hope to see you personally later.
Thank you. Here in Jalandhar again. When are you going to visit India now?
I don't know. I don't know exactly. So
whenever you visit, yeah.
So I hope that by 2022 the situation will be better, and and maybe it's possible to travel again. And after that,
Yeah,
of course, I try to.
We got very much optimistic with your lecture that we are going to have a new situation now, and definitely we are going to meet in.
Okay, thank you.
Whenever you program to visit
Bye-bye.
India, do visit KMV Jalandhar. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you.